Archiving. It is archiving. Go to the beginning. Hit play. Yeah. Live from Canada, again, believe. We're going to check in with Zack Wolk very soon. Very soon. So, yeah, Zack Wolk is getting a tattoo today. I believe our Skype connection with him is ready to go. I'm going to switch over here, get him into full screen, and I give him a little warning that he'll be on in 10 seconds here. 10 seconds. And here we go. Hopefully we'll be able to start hearing him now. And here you go, Zack Wolk, live from remote in Canada.
Hey everybody, it's March 20th, Tuesday, and I'm reporting live from Salmon Arm, British Columbia, which is about, what would you say, like 150 miles east of Vancouver, BC, where I was reporting from previously. And I'm here visiting family, and so our special guest today is Gerry, who is a cousin of mine.
How's it going?
And we are outside of the tattoo parlor where he works, and my other cousin owns. It's called Pins Tattoo in Vancouver, BC, or Salmon Arm, BC, where I'm going to be getting my first tattoo today live over the chest, and it's going to say, I don't know if you're going to be able to read that well, but it says honesty. And I just think that's an important sentiment, because if there's ever a moment in life that I'm ashamed to have a tattoo on my body that says honesty, then I've really lost purpose as far as what I'm doing with my life. Because if I'm ever ashamed of being honest or having that term on my body, then, then I really have to kind of question where life has taken me at that point. What do you think about the permanence of tattoos?
I think they're good. I think it's great. Like if you really have an image or something that means something to you that you want to put on your body, I mean, it's great. I mean, people get tattooed for different reasons. People get different stuff for different reasons. Some stuff, you look at it and it might be something stupid to you, like to somebody else, something silly, but it means something to you. Whether it be initials or whether it be something small or something big. I think that you shouldn't get tattooed unless you're going to get something meaningful to you.
Trying to find.
And I think that you should love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you have a tattoo, correct?
I do indeed.
What do you have a tattoo of?
I have Daredevil on my right shoulder, and it's done by Joe Quesada. Not the actual tattoo wasn't done by Joe Quesada, but the piece of art was done by Joe Quesada.
Right.
Who's my favorite comic book artist. And I've wanted to get it, and that's my mom.
Oh, your mom?
Zach's aunt, my mom.
Hi.
Is honking at me.
That's my aunt is just happens to be passing us on the street. There she goes. And we'll be meeting up with her a little bit later on, not live, but we're actually going to go into the tattoo parlor, where I'm going to be sharing some of the gifties I picked up in Vancouver, and some artwork in Pins Tattoos. But what does Daredevil mean to you? Like, why choose to get a comic book character on your skin permanently?
Me? Well, Daredevil I've had a long infatuation with, and it was a present from my friends Simon and Sean for my birthday, and a couple others pitched in on it, and they wanted me to get something. I've always wanted a piece of Joe Quesada art. At the time he was doing Kevin Smith's Guardian Devil storyline for Daredevil, and I really, the thing about Daredevil is he's kind of like a almost B/A-list character in the Marvel Universe, and he's the only Roman Catholic character, well, I shouldn't say the only Roman Catholic, but the most predominant Roman Catholic character on Marvel Comics.
Come on up.
So
this is I'd also like to introduce my aunt Cici, or Terry. Hi.
Hi.
What is it that you do?
What do I do?
Yeah, what do you do?
I'm a noise.
You're a what?
A noise.
A noise? So you're nice to people? It is
I'm
like
very nice to people.
you're very nice to people. Awesome. So you heal people.
Help heal.
Okay. Now, you heal people through the principles of Western medicine?
Yes.
Now, what's your take on Western medicine versus Eastern medicine?
Don't ask me that.
Why not?
Can you edit this?
Yes.
No. Oh, good.
I know I can edit it in post. Yeah, definitely.
Don't.
You're not going to... Okay.
No.
That's fine. So I just want to show you some of the art that that Gerry has chosen to be represented in Pins Tattoo, because it's not only a tattoo parlor, but it's also an art gallery. And there's some pretty awesome stuff here. This saw kind of looks like California. Is that a conscious choice for it to look like California, do you think?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think it kind of looks like California?
Have
you thought about it before?
I haven't thought of that before, no.
Gotcha. Cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about these pieces of art, if you happen to know anything? How did you stumble upon these pieces of art?
This is an artist. Every month we have a new artist here at Pins Gallery, and you can find us on the web at www.pinstattoo.com, and there's a little segment for the gallery in there. Every month we have a new artist and a new show. The primary focus of our gallery is to focus on alternative art and new artists and give them a little bit of confidence, and also established artists like Ken Kendall, who's this month's show, to show versatility in work. And we're an alternative art gallery, and we accept submissions from all over the world. So if you're out there and you want to have a nice little spot to display some
I think we've lost a little connectivity here. Looks like we've lost some connectivity. I am waiting to reestablish the connection with Zack Wolk. So let's see what happens. Zack, I've lost you. Zack, I've lost you. I still have him on Instant Messenger, but I lost him on Skype. So hopefully he'll try to call me back. If you're watching and you want to send in an instant message, you can do so to thestream.tv, spelled all the way out. You can send it to Yahoo Instant Messenger, AOL IM, or MSN. If you're on MSN, I think you need to search for us via email. That email to search for us is thestream.tv@hotmail.com. Looks like I've got Zack back. I'm checking in now with Skype. Oh, here he is.
We will be back in a second.
Okay.
I believe.
All right, I can hear him.
And we're back.
There we go.
All right, this is Ken Kendall stuff, and yeah, he's a great guy. Has some really cool art. These are lino he's done. He's done a really cool manga girl here. So
what is it about tattoos that attract people to them? What is attractive about tattoos? Why is it so compelling to get ink put under the skin?
That's a good question. My brother would probably be the best one to ask for that. But
he's a little...
from what I know from just hanging out here, people want to commemorate certain events in their life. They want, it's like having a photo book, but on your body. It's a little snapshot that reminds you. I have one guy that I used to work with who gets a tattoo every time he goes to a new place. So if he travels to Thailand, he gets something in Thai. If he travels to Germany, he gets something of German influence.
Just something else to collect.
Well, it's like his passport around the world. It's memories of all the places that he's been. But
Right.
other people do it to accentuate different parts of their body. And other people do it for different reasons. Right.
So you were telling me earlier about people being worried about what people are going to think in the future about like how the art is going to blend.
Yeah, but you can't really be that way. I mean, we tattoo everything from lawyers to doctors here to the upper crust of society to the kid off the street, and you can't be concerned about that. It's a life-changing moment when you get tattooed. It's something that's going to be on you forever, and it has to adapt to your personality or things that you like.
Right.
So it's definitely not something to be taken lightly.
Right.
And I think that we stress that here too. Is we make people make informed decisions about what they want to do and where they want to get it placed.
So, as a curator for the art gallery, what do you look for when addressing like a submission for being placed in the gallery? Like,
I just think that first of all, we don't accept. I shouldn't say we don't accept, but we try to steer away from still life and landscapes. There's enough galleries that host that sort of art already. So we're looking for somebody with a different take or a different view. And one of the things that I look at when I look at a portfolio is what is their body of work? Is it all one of the same thing? Is it all one type of artwork? Do they do a bunch of different mixed media? Do they do some photography? Do they do some, sculpture? Or are they just one type of artist? I mean, Ken, one thing he said about his show is that he didn't want to do one show of one style of art. That's why he's got photography. That's why he's got the lino prints. That's why he's got some sculpture. Is because he didn't. If you walk into an art gallery and you don't like the first piece, no, I don't like that. And you go and there's a room full of 40 other pieces that look just like it. You're not gonna really be that interested in the show. So Ken, what I like about Ken's show is it looks like 3 or 4 different artists did the show, and it's just one guy.
Right.
So that's kind of cool.
Now,
So looking
Salmon Arm is a smaller community,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure.
How many people reside in Salmon Arm?
Ma? 16,000? She's whispering 16,000.
Okay, so how important is a small art gallery that promotes the local and more avant-garde type of art to a small community like Salmon Arm?
I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, because I'm running it, I'd say, oh, it's so vital
Right.
to the industry, but it's really not. But I mean, it is to the culture. It's good to have a local scene going on. You know, you're living in a small town. There's not a lot going on for entertainment and not a lot going on for events, unless you go out and create it and do it yourself. And luckily, here in Salmon Arm, there's a good community base of people that do things like theater, and they do events. Like we have the Roots and Blues Festival here, where we bring in big bands, and you know, people throwing concerts, people throwing little spoken word events, writers groups, painters, dragon boat racers, all sorts of stuff going on here. It's a very lively, events-driven community, so we're lucky to be here.
Right.
So it is vital that, you know, there's people like us doing these things and keeping it going, right?
I would say so. I would say that culture is very important to any community, and
Yeah.
to keep culture alive is to
Yeah.
keep the people interested in staying in that community. I personally believe that the arts are a huge factor when considering where a person's going to come for, you know, for either tourism or to just visit or
Sure.
to live. You know, let's talk about hip hop.
Okay.
You're a big hip hop fanatic.
I am, yeah. I like hip-hop quite a bit.
What did you listen to when you started becoming a fan? Like, what turned you on to hip hop?
Early days, I liked a lot of Boogie Down Productions, Keras One, Public Enemy, Schoolie D, you name it. I mean, I grew up here in Salmon Arm, and the outlet for hip-hop wasn't very big here, so whatever was on TV, I'd tape. I'd sit there and wait for a Burger King commercial to come on with a rap on it, you know, and I'd videotape it, and I'd have it
What
all.
years were these?
Oh, like 83 to 80 to 91 were my years that I was really solidly into like the getting the influence of what I liked, I would say. So everything from like, you know, early Ice-T to hieroglyphics to, you know, all the 90s movement, the conscious rap movement, Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff, anything that you could get pretty much through local media, I was like on to, for sure.
Gotcha. Do you think that it's important that rappers are more true to the nature of what they know, or that they try to promote a positive message for the youth? Like, do you think that rappers like Eazy-E and Doc and Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and Ice-T and Snoop Dogg and that, do you think that they are influencing the youth in a negative fashion by toting like you know, the Glock and Wood always up to no good, that kind of mentality?
No, I think even rock and roll was always a rebellious art form, and you know, music in general has always been seen with rebellion. Jazz, you know, look at jazz and stay away from jazz. Kids will start going crazy and smoking reefer and being crazy, right? I mean, it's always been something that's been music has always been some sort of form of rebellion in one sense or another. And I think that, you know, if somebody listens to the DOC and is like, yeah, this guy's, you know, badass, or listens to early Dr. Dre or early NWA, like my brother Robbie used to bring me NWA from Vancouver and stuff, and all these little albums that you couldn't get, and all little B-sides, and like, you know, vinyl that was banned and stuff, and you know, that was like the cool thing to get, you know. And I mean, even if some kid has never heard a lot of rap, hears something like that and is like, oh yeah, that's cool, and it appeals to them in one sense, they're going to go out and maybe stumble along to be somebody who goes, hey, yeah, but you should check out the Bay Area scene. Have you heard Saphir, or have you heard Dell, or have you heard, you know, any of these guys, and you know, and then you get a little bit of something else going on. You get a little bit of, or BDP, and you get a little bit of edutainment, and then they get into something else, and you know, the next thing you know, they're onto somebody else or something new, you know. But I don't think it's completely negative, no.
I just wanted to remind everybody that if you have any questions, you can IM the stream.tv. That's 2 T's, TheStreamDot.tv. If you want to interact with either Gerry, Robbie, TC, or I. And TC's laughing. I've got another question, which is recently, like during the whole Nas and Jay-Z battle, like Jay-Z put down like, oh, in the beginning there was the battle, the battle rhymes, and there's also the notion that even in our economy that competition is really necessary for the progression of any art. So, but it's also what fuels and propagates war and violence among each other is being competitive over the lands and things of that nature. So when two MCs are battling over whatever it is, bragging rights, that they drop the doper line or whatever, even though they're not doing physical harm to each other, do you think that sends a negative message or anything when it's all about like fighting each other about like I've got the doper rhymes?
No, that's just an outlet, man. I would rather see two MCs on stage or a group of MCs battling than I would to see them out in the street shooting and stabbing each other. It's an outlet for your anger. It's an outlet for your frustration. It's an outlet it's a showcase of your talent, and you're turning something, that could be pent up as negativity into a positive. And I think the best battle MCs are the battle MCs that go up there with a little smirk on their face. And most MCs, when they do battle, will end the battle in a smile, a laugh, or a handshake. You can tear somebody apart and, say the worst things in the world about, their family and their girlfriend and this and that and the other thing, and turn around and give them a hug after and go for a beer and freestyle all night. That's the good thing about battling. I think it's a positive outlet. It's the same thing as breakdancing,
So what happened with the Tupac, Biggie Smalls?
Oh, that's just when, the media and everyone else gets around it and fires it up, and all of a sudden it became this big East Coast, West Coast thing. The problem with that is that when hip-hop takes that to the next level, they go, oh, you know what, that diss of the East Coast that we made sold blank amount of records, and that was crazy, and we sold so much, and then, so then they sort of start living the art.
But isn't that the case anytime that if controversy is definitely what's interesting to humans in general, so isn't it how am I trying to word this? Isn't it counterproductive to just be controversial for the sake of being controversial? I mean, I think that sometimes people get caught up in the nature of like, oh, I need the attention, so I'm gonna drop a battle line against whoever.
Sure, I mean, that's where all the hype comes out, But some people buy the hype it's just one big hype machine nowadays for a lot of the mainstream stuff. I mean, how many MCs are going to retire and come out of retirement again and sell, 60 billion copies of their new disc that, they just released since they've been away for a year and a half or 8 months or 6 months. They go off and they start a little company and they do clothing, it's an empire, man, and that's how it works. That's how the machine runs. And plus, they live in a bubble, too. You're surrounded by all these people around you telling you all this stuff, and you think you're in control, but they're telling you, and you drop a conscious album, like, look at somebody like Talib Kweli, right? Like, amazing MC, one of 50 Cent's like favorite MCs is Talib Kweli, right?
Jay-Z's as well.
Yeah, exactly. People give him mad props, right? So, for him to turn around and do some huge, like, jiggy battle gangsta shit would be, he'd probably sell a lot more records, but, it wouldn't be him. Same thing with 50 Cent. 50 Cent said, in one of his interviews that he'd love, being interviewed by Talib Kweli, he's like, I'd love to do a conscious record, but would my fans accept that? Would I sell any albums? If he came out with a huge education. But, Ludacris just dropped a semi-conscious album. He's got some, stuff that people are knowing him for, but at least he's talking about something in his album.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Like a guy like 50, 50 and Game, who definitely generate a lot of controversy to sell records. Mm-hmm. Like, isn't that counterproductive to artistic integrity as far as like just right, like, because not all of us can relate to being able to say that I want to be in direct competition with one of the top guys. Like for me anyways, I love listening to a song. I mean, it is all subjective, right? Mm-hmm. But you find artistic integrity in being controversial for the sake of being controversial because it's interesting.
I don't know. I just think that what else is he going to write about?
He could write about his lifestyle as far as not being in direct competition.
That's a huge risk, man. That's a huge risk. That's what defines somebody. That's what raises them up to be a leader of men, or just somebody who
What's
just
that?
Somebody who starts a movement. Like Tupac's Thug Life. He had written rules, and he had charters, and he had agreements that you were going to sign, and said that these are the rules of the streets, and these are the codes of the streets, and this is how we're going to operate now. And he tried to organize it on that front, you know, to whatever success is up to, you know, the judges of history. But, you know, there's, you know, you got to take yourself from somebody who has a huge following to a leadership status, or you keep that same following and you appease the masses and you keep them happy and you put out the same type of music over and over again with a new beat or the hottest production, and you do stuff for the clubs and you just keep reaping money. And then your grandchildren's don't have to starve.
Right.
You know, so that's the, do I do a conscious album and neglect what I've got so far, and hopefully people will follow me into that? And what if, you know, the youth that listened to me when they were like, you know, 16, 17, now they're 19, 20, they're tired of hearing about champagne bottles and club music and want to hear something conscious. Am I going to alienate all my old fans, or am I going to take them with me? And I think that to be a successful artist and to really have integrity, you've got to sort of balance that. You've got to put out your couple jams for the club, and then you've got to put out your conscious stuff, or you can go whatever avenue you want to go. But what I'm saying is, if you're surrounded by riches and gold and mansion parties and girls everywhere, and, you know, violence back in your neighborhood, and, you know, trouble on the street everywhere you go, that's what you're going to write about, because that's what's constantly on your mind.
Right.
I think if you come from a point of honesty, you have to write about what you know.
Right. That's very
and
true.
that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're writing about what they know.
That's a very good point.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. So I'm going to flip it up a bit. Although I would love for you to drop a verse, one of your old school.
No. Negative.
You're not going to drop a verse?
Negative.
No.
Not today.
Why not? Okay. Well. All right. Well, I'll just drop it. But you've been a Canadian citizen your entire life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Could you draw like a contrast between Canada and the United States, as far as like what the benefits of one over the other?
Not really. I think they're both really cool. I've only spent a little time in the States. I came and hung with you in Torrance.
What'd you think?
I loved it. I mean, I like the fact that you know, there's so many opportunities that are supported to eat well and live well within a huge city center, like a huge metropolitan area.
Versus
a place where you might find nature and beauty and some of the stuff, but community. Some cities that I've been to, you know, it's all just, you know, based around fast food and fast lifestyle. But you know, Torrance was just awesome. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, no, I like the States quite a bit. I like the people in the States quite a bit. I'm a U.S. politics junkie. I know more about U.S. politics than I know about Canadian politics.
Do you think that hip-hop can have an effect on the spectrum of politics?
Sure it can. Of course it can. You know, you hear it mentioned in Senate debates all the time. You know, you hear different things. You know, it's very political.
Definitely.
You know, if it wants to be, different aspects of it are, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just kind of at a loss for words. Okay. Bye, T.
Bye, Mama. We'll see you in a bit. There goes. Wave goodbye to the people.
Bye.
Hates
me. She absolutely hates me. So we're not getting any IMs? No IMs. I guess I forgot to post a bulletin, so. Okay. Bye. So.
Yeah, we're gonna come up.
Yeah, for sure. What are your ambitions? What are you working on currently?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Zach. Currently, we're working on, this is just a photocopy that I just printed off, but this is Minx, issue number 1 from Copious Amounts Press. Miss Andrea Grant is a wonderful, wonderful lady that I met working in a nightclub in Vancouver. She worked with me there.
Who's Minx?
Minx is Andrea Grant.
Okay.
When she's dreaming, basically. But yeah, she had this idea of a comic based on a character based on herself, and dealing with some of the issues that she was dealing with and some of the avenues that she'd like to explore as far as literary sense goes. So she needed, she knew that I was writing some stuff. I've always been a big comic book junkie, and I was writing some books to pitch for myself with my friends and by myself. I wrote one called Head Start that was pretty cool. that I was pitching at the time, and she said, "Oh, you really know how to write structure," and I'd done some screenwriting and some television writing and stuff like that that I was trying to get picked up as well with groups of people and by myself in Vancouver.
What's the storyline?
Storyline basically deals with a lot of native lore, and it has to do a lot with dream state and reality, and the differences between the two. The hierarchy of social belief is something that's touched upon a lot in the comic. A lot of the characters represent a lot of the characters in Dreamtime, which is where you go when you sleep or when you're in a coma, is ruled by the hierarchy of human belief and belief systems. So there's characters that represent luck, there's characters that represent the tarot, there's characters that represent native spirit animals, there's characters that represent like yin-yang, chance, fate, destiny. All of these things that we put our stake in as human beings are represented throughout characters in this universe of Dreamtime.
So where does Minx fit into this?
Minx is sort of like a Robin Hood of sorts. She's sort of a spiritual anomaly. She was a Native North American girl who got bit with a transfer from a spirit wolf who was being hunted in our reality, which is wake sleep, which is the reality that we're sitting in right now, which is where we go when we're not dreaming, right? So she was bit by this wolf that was being hunted by an immortal named Ptolemy. And she got a transfer of spirit as the animal died to her. She then slipped into a coma, and she was adopted basically by a corporation called They. The They Corporation, basically their whole thing is they can offer you instant fame. It takes place in 2010 when celebrity runs the world. And fame and fortune are the most powerful things that you can have. Like, well, not fortune, but fortune comes with fame, right? But fame and celebrity are the biggest driving things, right? Driving forces in the world. Everybody wants to be famous. Well, They Corporation are the ones that take you on, and they're an agency, and they take you on, and they propel you to stardom and propel you to fame.
How do they benefit?
Well, they benefit from all the contracts that you can get and all the endorsements that you get and all the following that you get. It's the same thing, rap artists, some record labels now are you drop Bacardi or Hypnotic into a rhyme and you get 25,000 for mentioning. So why wouldn't, back to what we're talking about hip hop, why wouldn't somebody like, Busta Rhymes sit down and talk about Pass the Cavassier and mention Cavassier in an entire song? Or why wouldn't Nelly come up and rap about Air Force Ones? That stuff has been part of hip-hop culture forever, but now they've got these name brands going, hey, you know what? Every time that you mention Hennessy or every time they mention Cavassier, we're going to give you 10G. So yeah, hell's yeah, he's going to write a song, 3 minutes long that says Cavassier 8 million times.
Right.
Anyway, so back to Mix. They Corporation are the ones that can do this for you. Now, what they seek to do is have influence in Dreamtime, because basically what the book is called Coma Sleepers Hear It All, and you can check it out on the web at www.minxcomic.com.
So just to, you gave me the rundown before. So she is basically she was put into a coma state as a child. So she becomes like the Sleeping Beauty, kind of like epitomized celebrity as a child.
Yeah.
That the corporations are trying to gain influence over in order to dive into dream sleep, where the spectrum of control over wake sleep takes place, because things happen symbolically in dream.
Well, it's all about her battle against basically Ares. Ares is not seen as, like, war is very powerful, but Ares himself has been reduced to like a myth in like a grade 9 textbook, pretty much, And so he's been kicking around the back of the tarot deck for a long time. And so Ares wants to rise up to power again. So the only way he can see people recognizing Ares himself as a power and putting their stake and their belief into him is if he somehow gets the They Corporation to turn him into a celebrity in our reality, and in turn what he wants to do is offer They control over the collective subconscious of those people that are in comas in Dreamtime, right? So
Minx is fighting against that.
Minx is fighting to protect the coma sleepers. The people that are in a coma don't realize that they're just floating around in this dream state because they're connected to what's called the ley lines, and they're where all the natural flow of creative energy flows between wake, sleep, and dream time. And therefore it passes through the collective subconscious. That's where the power of the tarot and the other things that we put belief in travel to, and that's how the influence from their world travels to our world.
So basically, the people, those in comas in our, what we know as physical reality, act as conduits between our world and the spiritual center through the ley lines.
All our subconscious travels through the ley lines. But what happens with the coma sleepers is that's prime real estate that's not being used. Right? So what the Day Corporation want to do is they want to have influence of that. They want to have that little patch of real estate because it's unused right now. It's just sitting there dormant, right? And they can't get to it. It's protected by an empress, and you can't get to it because it's protected by the mother, the nurturer, and she's a very powerful member of the tarot. So nobody can get past her. But she was the one who. They brought Minx to her, and she gave in turn said, well, this is a wolf spirit. Even though it's in a human form, it's technically a wolf spirit. So Minx runs with a pack of real wolf spirits, right? But she's a spiritual anomaly. She wasn't supposed to be there because she's a wolf spirit in human form.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. So check out minxcomic.com.
Minxcomic.com, yeah.
Well, I want to take this opportunity to do a commercial for our sponsor, right? Our sponsor. I think that was like a great segue to our sponsor. And if you're feeling down and low in your life, you don't know where you're headed or what you're doing, or you kind of feel drab because your girlfriend left you, or you feel, I got this question, has Zach ever had a tattoo and is he nervous about getting one? Pain. I've never had a tattoo before, and I'm getting one on my chest, which is apparently one of the most painful places to get a tattoo. But I'm completely comfortable with it because I have peyote. Peyote helps us sleep better. It helps us think clearer, and it just, if you don't know much about the psychonauts, I recommend you get into Carlos Castaneda or any of the other psychonauts out there. But basically, this stuff, there's a belief that it has helped us come out of the primitive animal instinctual world and has perpetuated us into the current state of consciousness and is pushing us even further. I mean, you have to kind of think about the context of what we're doing is we're talking to a machine. No other animal does that. So should we still be considered animals? Well, peyote will tell you, my friend. I'm just curious, like, what do you think, do you think that there is something inherently special within human DNA? Like the spirit molecule or something within...
No, not really.
No?
No. I mean, I've seen animals with just as much personality. I've met animals along the way with just as much personality as most humans that I've met, so...
Gotcha. So you believe that we're on a similar that animals have spiritual paths just as well?
Oh, for sure. For sure they do. Of course they do. Yeah.
And do you believe that they have the capability of like contemplating the existence of their creator? And
see, I think that comes down to how we're built. I don't think that I don't know if an ant or a dust mite would have the same sort of level of consciousness or thought process as we do as humans, but
not the same, but like that what lies past just instinctual gain and survival leads people to, or leads other animals to, the contemplation of the meaning of their existence or the origins of their existence or anything like that.
I think maybe it differs throughout the species, but I'm not as an overall thing. I don't think that all of us. I think they're all somehow connected. I think that they sense some sort of connectivity to a higher spirit, perhaps. What all the bugs fly up into the light? Why do moths, fly into flames? I don't know.
I just want to show the people this piece of art over here. We're waiting for. We're waiting patiently to have.
You didn't answer the question though.
What was the question?
Well, talk about your tattoo.
Oh yeah. Well, the honesty. I'm just gonna go and grab the older school because it's a little bit more visible than the transparency. But yeah, I don't know. Like, am I nervous? A little bit. I never thought about getting a tattoo before the offer was made to me, and you know, I feel like getting a tattoo done is a very personal decision, and I never thought about any kind of image or message or anything that I felt, you know, went beyond me, or that I felt could be permanent, because my state of thought process leads me to believe that the only thing consistent in life is change. But simultaneously, I think that we do have to hold on to certain things within our spiritual center in order to retain our ideas or what we believe is important as far as conducts of ethics or moral conduct or any of that kind of stuff. So I kind of come to the conclusion that honesty is so important to me that it's worthwhile to get put on me permanently, because, like I said before, you know, the second that I start losing my roots as far as what's important to me, then I just start to unravel, and it happens with people all the time. And you know, I kind of like, I don't like to criticize or judge people, but we all do. It's instinctual. We just have to limit our the negative emotions that we put people through, because people are just out having their own experiences, and so the number one value judgment I do make on people is whether or not they're kind. And so that is, it could have been kindness, but it's not. It's honesty, because I don't want to deal with people that are dishonest about their true nature. I don't want to deal with somebody that is that is faking kindness and constantly giving me this kind of like charade of their existence, because ultimately what that leads to is manipulation towards selfish means. They want something from me, and you could tell, and I feel like people constantly get themselves wrapped up in deception as a means of supporting themselves. It becomes like an addiction, like any other addiction. Like there's a web that people place upon their lives and their psyche, that it's like, well, I want people to think a certain thing about me, so I'm going to project this image of whatever it is, success or beauty or whatever it is. And then, but in order to support that, because, you know, obviously if a person doesn't feel genuine about that, then they have to add all of these other layers on, like, oh, well, you know, I didn't used to feel this way about myself, but I do now because I went through this transition in my life. And so I felt as though beauty or charming was the way to get ahead. And, well, this is what their mind is processing while they are relaying to people some sense of deception. I'm not expressing myself very well at all. I got 1 hour of sleep, driving about 17 hours. But anyhow, basically what happens is all of these layers of deception get set up in order for people to present this false image in order to get whatever they want out of life, whether it be love or success or happiness. But what ends up happening is these different layers are what comes to be expected from other people that have these, you know, goals to deliver to you. It's like, I want success, so I'm going to set up this image for myself to be successful, but then I constantly have to be living up to these expectations, like that I'm capable of certain talents or whatever it is in order to achieve what they have to give me, which means that I constantly have to be acting. And it just leads you into this downward cycle where downward spiral where you're just kind of like, God, I forget who I am. And I think that our true inherent nature is so important to hold on to, that we need to alleviate fear from our lives, because fear is really all that leads us to you know, communicating ourselves as anybody but who we are and how we feel. I do feel like there are needs for filters. Like if you're going to hurt somebody by being too honest, I think that there's a need for a filter to be placed on that. Or if you feel like you can help save somebody else, or you can help put yourself into a position to be selfless by putting a filter on, that's okay. I don't think that we need to be too forthcoming with honesty, but I think there's a difference between deception and then a lack of forthcoming with true honesty. And you got Daredevil tattooed on you because, like you said, your friends purchased it for you. But what does the character Daredevil symbolize to you, and why?
I just think it's great. I think that he's just always been one of my faves. He's got a ton of Catholic guilt going through him. He's he dresses up as the devil. He's a religious superhero who dresses up as the devil to scare people. He's a little bit twisted. He's a blind lawyer. The whole blind justice thing. I don't know. Just always had a bit of an attraction to Daredevil. I really like.
What's interesting about the blind justice?
Oh, just the fact that this is a guy who marauds as a lawyer. During the day, it's his job to prosecute and defend people on both sides of the law, and he at night he's a vigilante who's wanted. You know what I mean? Like he runs by his own rules at night, and he tries to work. He sort of works within and outside the confines of the law, and it's just such a weird, conflicted character, and that sort of goes with his costume too. He's such a weird, tormented, conflicted.
Do you see a
character.
Correlation between Daredevil and yourself?
Oh, for sure.
Well, how would you?
I'm just like that. Well, the fact that I dress up like a devil at night and run and scare the bejesus out of supervillains is probably the closest to a direct correlation. No, honestly, my friends offered to get it for me.
Yeah.
I've always had an attraction to the character.
For whatever reason.
Well, from the fact that I've always been attracted a lot to the spiritual superheroes. Superheroes have a sense of spirituality to them, and he's definitely one that you wouldn't think of having that, but he does. I mean, the character's steeped in Roman in Catholicism. His mother is a nun. You know what I mean? His father was a boxer and a thug who used to beat people down and shake them down for the local mob bosses and the kingpin. So he's always lived on this good and evil balance of good and evil, and I think he's just a really well-balanced character. He's blind, but he's got a radar sense, so he can sense things around him. He has every reason to give up on his faith. I mean, every single girl he basically dates becomes endangered and ends up getting killed, and then he's got to deal with that and doesn't throw away the costume, but he can't. He's a lawyer by day and a vigilante at night. I mean, there's confliction there. So he's a good, balanced character as far as both good and evil goes, and I love the fact that he's, a religious character who dresses up at night as the devil to scare people.
Have you read any Joseph Campbell?
Joseph Campbell?
Yeah, like mythology. Like what importance do you believe mythology plays in our society?
Oh, yeah, it's huge. I mean, those are the legends that we pass down from generation to generation. I mean, everything goes back to mythology.
And comic books reach us at a younger age.
Same thing. I mean, I was reading an article yesterday about, Captain America just died.
Yeah.
Right? And they were saying, how could they do this? And, isn't this just, they're like, you know what? Name me a mythological character. That's one of the huge things that has always happened in these stories. Is the character gets killed eventually, and then they rise from the ashes, and they come back somehow, some way. They come back and make a big resurgence, and then that story gets passed along, and that story gets passed along. It's the same story over and over and over again. It's just new costumes, new characters, new way of telling it.
Gotcha. Do you believe that there's any symbolism in choosing this time for Captain America to die?
Oh, for sure.
For the authors?
No, for sure. Again, very politically,
conscious.
Very relevant, right? It taps into, what's on everybody's mind. It taps into that subconscious, like, oh, this is where the world's heading, and it gives you pause for a second,
Yep.
If it didn't, the story broke in the media outlets before the issue was even read by most of the fans, and most of the fans now are all pissed off that there's spoilers and spoilers and spoilers. Well, tough. It's what happens. You know. There's a reason why it was in all the popular media before the New York did. Sometimes they're going to read about it online. So
well, SP Lover says you're using too many big words.
Oh, maybe it was you with honesty.
Honesty, is that too big?
Honestly, I'm not trying to put a filter up right now.
Yeah.
I think you lost them with honesty.
Yeah, maybe. We're going to check in with my cousin Robbie because we have to go off the air soon, which is no big deal because I'm going to videotape the entire process of the tattoo. What are we up to, Robbie? This is my cousin Robbie, everybody. And Robbie owns and runs Pins Tattoos in Salmon Arm, Canada. So if you're in the area and you need tattoo work done, come see Robbie and tell him Zach sent you. So what are we looking at as far as time frame? No pressure.
Well, we're done with my other client, so just tear down, set back up, maybe a half hour.
Half hour?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I don't think we're going to be able to bring you the tattoo live today as originally hoped, but it will be a part of next show, which is going to be brought to you tomorrow at 4 p.m. And you can jump. I'd like to thank Gerry Job, for sharing your insight with.
Thanks for coming to a little SABC and kicking it with us here at Pins Gallery and Tattoo. Good on you, Lasagna.
All right. Well, take care, and I will see you tomorrow on stream.tv. Peace. Good on you, Lasagna.
All right, that was Zack Wolk once again live from his laptop all week coming at you. So stop by tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time when Zack will be showing you the tattoo that he got and be in a all new location, wireless from his laptop. Take care, everyone.